And Tyler, no big surprise that activities out on Cass Lake have gotten to the point where it's starting to be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And this has been a growing problem over a number of years, Dave, as residents in Keego Harbor have flocked out to Cass Lake for recreation, to enjoy the water, to enjoy the limited sunshine we have and lake time we have in Michigan each and every year. But with visitors coming in, with more people now living in Keego Harbor and wanting to have a fun time on the water, this has become a growing problem. Some bad actors ruining the fun for a lot of people and causing a need for greater patrol to make sure that people have a good time on Cass Lake, but do so safely and do so respectfully.
Channel 4 was out with their cameras and video crews over the 4th of July weekend to get an update on the story, talk to our mayor of Keego Harbor. Let's watch a clip from Channel 4 here in their coverage of this story.
You know, Keego has a tremendous amount of Cass lakefront as its backyard. And in the past, there have been some issues here, especially over holidays, with people coming here and not behaving the way they should. Keego Harbor Mayor Rob Kalman explains what the issues have been in the past and really what they're doing now. Take a listen.
We love it when people come. They come from the beaches, they'll go to dinner afterwards. They have a great family experience on their boat, on their pontoon. It's just when people get a little disrespectful. If you think about it, nobody's allowed to drive a car on Cass Lake Road if they're drunk. We're trying to make sure that when people are on the lake, they're being responsible and there's no tragedies that take place in Cass Lake where, unfortunately, you hear about those from time to time.
Back here live. So what did Keego do? Essentially, it has partnered with the Oakland County Marine Division through a lot of hard work over the last year. They have a whole plan in place for specifically July 4th and how to keep the vibe out here wonderful for kids, wonderful for families, and that means stepped up enforcement. Now, does that mean a bunch of people out here getting tickets? That's not what it means. It means more about education. If you get pulled over by one of these deputies out here on the lake, their goal isn't to write you a ticket. Their goal is to figure out what's going on the boat and to give you some advice on how to act better. And so far, it is working. This could not be more zen out here on this lake. And if you've ever been out here on Cass during a holiday, you know that it's not typically zen. It is now. And the mayor told me really it's about a shift in culture of what is allowed out here and what people who live here are willing to put up with. Karen, Kimberly, we're live in Keego. Back to you.
Making good points. Obviously follow the rules and show some respect, obviously, to that neighborhood because they're so lovely to be sharing their lake with all of us. All right. Thank you, Mara. We appreciate it.
All right, the Mara McDonald story there, and one of the people featured in that, the key person featured in that, is the mayor of Keego Harbor. He joins me now, Rob Kalman from Keego Harbor, and we'll get him up here and connected here. Rob, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So Mara did a great job on that story. Thank you. I don't know that I can hear Rob. Are you there, Rob?
Sure. You should be able to hear me.
Okay. They're very good. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. So Mara said it was kind of a zen situation there. Her report was pretty early. That was a live hit that she did on the front side. Would you call it zen, or did it turn into something a little bit less zen-like over the 4th of July?
We have, David, you know, it's the largest lake in Oakland County. It's the deepest, it's the busiest, and she was out the day before. It was great. There were families out, people having a great time. The next day, of course, as she mentioned, we partnered with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and the Marine Patrol Division, and there were a lot of boats from the Sheriff's Department that were out on the lake that day. There were a lot of deputies out. Our Keego Harbor Police Department was out and helping in the neighborhoods. For the most part, it was better than last year. Last year, we had an army, if you will, invade Keego Harbor coming in for a party. Better, it was still a little challenging. Unfortunately, there were quite a few medical emergencies where, you know, some of the teens enjoying themselves. And by the way, I just want to make sure I emphasize, we want people to come to Keego Harbor and have a good time. We want them to enjoy the lake. We want people to come out and enjoy our restaurants. Just do so respectfully and do so responsibly and be safe. And like it's in the article, we're not looking to ticket people. We just want to make sure people are safe and respectful. The medical emergencies at one point, you probably interviewed the West Bloomfield Fire Department. There were a number of underage kids drinking that unfortunately didn't know how to handle their alcohol and had to be escorted in an ambulance to the local hospitals. At least close to a dozen of them. Some worse than others. I think Waterford Regional was called in to back up West Bloomfield Fire because their ambulances were all taken up with people being taken off the lake. But all in all, from talking to the residents who had to experience 2022 and now they experienced 2023, it was much better. It was zen-like the day before. It was a great experience, and it's also a learning experience for us because we learn what we need to do for next year to make it even better for everybody.
Well, Rob, I mean, this is a great thing that we have the place that everyone wants to be. Cass Lake, it is one of the places to hang out in all of Metro Detroit. And if you're not going to go up north and you want to go to a local lake, Cass Lake is a great spot to go. We've got a great, now improved park on the lake, which allows a lot more boaters to get on the water. Listen, this is nothing new, and I think Calvin can put up a picture from the 1940s of Cass Lake on the 4th of July weekend. Calvin, let's see if you just put that up there for just a minute. We'll get to that in just a second. But, I mean, this has been the go-to spot. So it's a little bit of a balancing act in your messaging. We want people to certainly behave themselves, but we want people to come to Keego and Cass Lake and have a good time, too. So is that a tough tightrope for you to walk on?
Well, I'm reminded by people, Keego Harbor has a very long shoreline, if you will, on Cass Lake, where there's a lot of nice homes that have been developed since 1940 when the picture comes up. We just, we've had issues of people trespassing in backyards, people knocking on people's doors. Hey, can I use your bathroom? Or worse, not knocking, just walking into somebody's house and using their bathroom. It's hard to believe, but it's true. And just the level of disrespect got out of hand. And so, yeah, you're right. It's a public beach, it's a public lake, but we want to make sure that our residents are protected at the same time. I mean, that's the gist of it. So I have a picture. I wish I had with me. There was a drone that was flown up by a resident, another one by the sheriff's department. You can actually see how many boats and people that were on the lake. It was pretty astounding on the 4th of July.
Well, maybe you can send that to us and we'll put it on the air tomorrow. And at any time, Calvin, that you have that classic picture from a long time ago, if we can show that, we will. But, no question about it. And it is 4th of July the exception? And what happened over the 4th of July, the exception where is Cass Lake just kind of developing into the place where you go to and get out on the water and get a little crazy any weekend of the summer?
It's always busy because, you have Dodge Park across on Cass Lake. You have two private marinas that are launching boats, and there's your picture. That's great. Every weekend we have activity. It just happened to be, somebody, I guess you call them an influencer, and they had a party which was advertised, and it brought in a lot of people, specifically on the 4th of July. It's a public lake. We handle it.
All right, well, good job. So bottom line, for those of you that may be heading out to Cass Lake in the future, I'm sure police will be there, Keego Harbor Police will be there, Oakland County Sheriffs will be there, and, have a good time, but behave yourselves for goodness sakes. And we shouldn't have to have teenagers going on to the hospital. And that picture that we had there, we can put it back up on the screen. I mean, that's classic. And Rob, that really gets to the point of the whole issue here, and that is Keego Harbor is a great place to be. We've got, all kinds of fine establishments and restaurants and good fun. And as you can see, it's been that way for decades. That's the exciting good news. And, Keego Harbor in the Lakes area continues to be a place that people want to hang out and enjoy themselves. And that's got to be great for the community.
It is, and we're trying to build upon that. I think you and I talked before about the work we've done in the Cass Lake Road corridor area, where re-imaging, if you will, reimagining how we want Keego Harbor to look over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Changing ordinances to allow developers to come in and go from an old one-story building to a three-story, to allow a second story for a restaurant if they want to add additional seating. I'm looking for, we've been working with getting grants to help our city. We're very fortunate. We completely separate than Cass Lake. We were awarded a $500,000 grant to fix some infrastructure, which in all the years I've been in council, we've never gotten that for a specific ask. It's the Willow Beach Street Bridge, Car Bridge. Another $100,000 that we're going to get from the state to help manage public safety along Cass Lake and the water. And I am looking to build upon, as I said, the Cass Lake Road corridor re-imaging with a grant that I'm close to getting for Orchard Lake Road and the corridor there, so we can have a full picture for a developer when they want to invest in developing Keego Harbor and see an integrated plan.
Do you see that Cass Lake corridor, Rob, becoming, and in its own appropriate scale, but becoming something akin to Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield, south of Maple, where you make some improvements to the road, and that encourages businesses to develop along the way? I mean, certainly maybe to a different level, but you're talking about something like that that changes the look of that thoroughfare and makes it more of a kind of a place that restaurants and other businesses would want to develop in.
Right. Yeah, I've been talking to regional planners and developers and the like. The big regional malls aren't really the go-to that they used to be. People are now, of course, with COVID, they're working from home a lot more, and there's a desire to have a place you can walk to from your house for a good meal, to go to a coffee shop, to go to even a small retail store. And the village feel, if you will, is what we're aiming for, where we can help Keego Harbor become more of a destination. And the retail and the marketing studies that we've done show that people are willing to drive quite extensively to Keego Harbor to enjoy what we have, I think is our greatest asset, the lakes. We're smack dab right in the middle of Cass Lake and Sylvan Lake. So our West Bloomfield has a long Orchard Lake Road corridor, and like the Birmingham is downtown Woodward area. We're going to work with our strength, which is being a lake community, or have people who can go boating and kayaking and paddleboarding, and then get off the lake, and all of a sudden you can go to Jaybird for a great meal, or B1 or Geno's, and then build an environment where a developer can come in and say, you know what, this makes sense. And we have documentation and data which can show a developer, hey, the buying power of people that live within a 10, 15-minute drive of Keego Harbor rivals any of the other large communities in Oakland County. People might not think it because, Keego has been known as, at times, like a little suburb of Pontiac. Maybe some people don't like to say it, a little stepchild of West Bloomfield, but there are some real positive strengths as to our location. And, the roads are being improved. And a little pain this summer when Orchard Lake Road's getting ripped up and repaved, but they'll make travel here even easier.
Well, you take a look at some of the communities that, decades ago were their own downtowns that weren't suburban Detroit. They were a place that you would go to. And now you take a look at the Milfords and the Northvilles and the Rochesters, and these communities have really done a good job to evolve and embrace everything that you're talking about. So really good to see that progress is happening in Keego. Thank you for your comments on the Cass Lake situation. And real quickly before we go, road construction project on Orchard Lake Road. It got delayed a couple of days. It's going to begin on Monday. And just real quick, maybe a nod to the businesses along Orchard Lake Road. And, they always have those signs up there that say you're going to be able to get to the businesses. But, we want to go to the Lodge or one of the Dairy Queen or something else along that stretch. I assume we're going to be able to make it in there.
Yeah, the businesses are all open. There's signs posted, businesses open. The Early Bird Cafe, which is a local favorite, not just for Keego Harbor, but people from all over the greater West Bloomfield area come Sunday morning after people might be at church. There's a line around the corner. So I'd hope that people would continue to come and frequent our restaurants, El Camino and so on. It's short-term pain. We're talking July and August are going to be the worst of it, and then we'll have a the major shutdown, because Commerce is closed for about a 35-day period, and I think Orchard Lake near Rycroft and Commerce area is going to be one way for about 35 days or so. But once that's done, we're going to have infrastructure improvements. The drainage situation is going to be better. There's a big poll for the residents and viewers who are watching right now. If they go to Early Bird, there's a pole right in the middle of the parking lot, and it's just, you pull in, you're zooming away, and the road commission is going to get rid of that, and they're going to make it an easy access point. The ingress and egress is going to be improved, and the drainage situation where it would pond up after a big rainstorm in front of that area is going to be fixed. And we're also going to have a couple other pipes installed, so when we do some local infrastructure improvements, we can tap into the pipe for a drainage fix. So I don't know, I'm a big proponent of regional cooperation. So the road commission, they've tried, everybody complains, oh, this road's horrible. And all of a sudden now we're going to have a fix. And they're like, oh my God, I can't get anywhere. But, for the short term, it's going to turn into a really nice fix with smooth roads. And so, yeah, thanks for bringing it up and giving a little plug to some of our restaurants. I'm sure they appreciate it.
Rob Kalman, the mayor of Keego Harbor, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the fine work you're doing. Keego Harbor, a gem, getting better and brighter each and every day. We appreciate your time with us and the great relationship that we have with you and Keego Harbor. Thank you, Rob, for being with us.
Thanks for having me. All right, bye-bye.